Hi, my name is Sherritt. I am currently in 4th year at McMaster University in the Fine Arts program, expected to obtain a BFA. This is my summative piece. It is currently untitled because I'm not sure if it is 100% finished, but I'm inspired by my late grandmother to pursue a career in the fine arts, and I've always been fascinated with the idea of fear, horror, and gore, and I hope that later in life that'll lead me to a career where I can create my own monsters on either film sets or TV shows. I aim towards high expectations of realism, but also making my own twist on it, and this is made out of plaster and is meant to represent and showcase my skills as a sculptor.
My name is Anastasia Petrovik, and I'm a Serbian-Canadian artist graduating McMaster's BFA program. My work deals with reconnecting with Serbian culture and understanding the moral implications and different traditional aspects of doing so. This work specifically deals with the performative and private natures of reconnecting with your culture and how when you're typically trying to reconnect with culture, it turns into a performative act where you're presenting this to other people. This work specifically deals with this tension by installing the paintings in the gallery style setting where it's like presented to the audience, but plays with the tension of like a home or some sort of indoor space by referencing the home through wallpaper and the table and different elements like that.
So, hi, my name is Jiyoung Yoon, and I create illustration and books for the goal of promoting traditional Korean cultures, because all my practice is about like showing traditional Korean cultures to foreign countries. Like, for example, like I'm standing here in Canada, and this work is, I basically have like 3 pieces of work here, and one for this one is 호랑이, the Korean word in tiger in English, and it talks about like the Korean peninsula shape in tiger shape. I just like referred my own art style by creating like new one from like 19th century paintings in other paintings, and then there's like one other decoration as well. It's called 노리개, and it's like a traditional Korean decoration from women's accessory. And then I have like 2 QR codes hanging there. Like they have like each have like cartoons, and one for talking about like depressions in Korea, and one for talking about child abuse in Asian countries.
My name is Alessia Morganti. My current art practice is based off of the everyday life, also inspired by personal thoughts and memory. My final piece is titled Envision, and it was inspired by a combination of mixing colors together to create a sense of movement throughout the canvases. Each piece, there are 5 shaped canvases, and each of them represent a piece of me and my own memory. Each piece is inspired by being able to find movement throughout the canvas and mix paints and have different brush strokes throughout each of them. And it is a way to create non-representational works and explore my practice.
So hello, I'm Serena Walk. I'm in the Studio Arts BFA program at McMaster, and we're at the grad show. For SUMMA, this is my piece, Roots. I'm Chinese Canadian, and a lot of my work revolves around my identity. For this specific piece, I've been moving towards using my identity as a jumping off point. So rather than making it obviously about being Chinese, I use that as a way to explore different avenues. So in this one, I've used microscopic views of lotus roots. And I've made it into, by like sewing into dissolvable fabric with thread and then dissolving it away to create my own textile. And then I molded it into a Chinese dress called a kipao, and I hung it from the ceiling. So that is my work. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hanan, and my practice tends to deal with ideas of sexual violence and violence against women, as well as trauma and the methods in which we are able to portray our healing through art. Specifically, I like to use textiles as it is a traditionally feminized and undervalued medium in the art world in order to address these social issues. My first work is entitled Primary Intention and is a beanbag chair inspired by the shape and form of a blood clot. The blood clot in this case is more of a metaphor for the space in between healing and trauma, as we both have to undergo some form of skin abrasion to develop a scab or blood clot and be healing at the same time in order for it to exist. The main goal of this piece is to create a space in which the viewer is able to relax, decompress, and come to terms with their own trauma and mental state. The second piece is entitled Hemostasis. It is embroidery work on very thin fabric that depicts the biological structure of skin inspired by a textbook illustration. This work focuses a little bit more on pattern and form, but is also embodying this idea of trauma and healing in the materiality, as each time I would stitch into the work, the fabric would tear, and I would have to piece it back together through my stitches in order to create the final work.
I'm Jiyoung Yoon, an artist, cartoonist, and student pursuing an MFA and labor studies minor at McMaster, living on the Hamilton Mountain. I make comics, illustrations, and stories about how people relate or do not relate to each other and the other through human and non-human subjects. I work in digital and traditional processes around painting, drawing, and occasionally printmaking. My SUMMA piece is Jubilant Pet Shop, 9 12x12 paintings of alien-like creatures interacting with the cube of space they are allotted. This piece explores the creatures' various stress behaviors as a result of their confinement, hung low to the ground in order to mimic the environment when passing by the window of a pet shop. I want to create both affinity with and distance from the creatures, juxtaposing their bright, attractive colors and large, glassy eyes with anxious pacing, avoidance, and aggression towards the viewer. Who would take home one of these unstable but exotic-looking animals, and why? And cut.
Hello, my name is Barin, and I'm a final year student at McMaster University. For my practice, I make both traditional and digital paintings. The piece I'm showing here is a diptych of 2 digital paintings, and it's titled Alexithymia, which means the inability to express one's emotions. They were both inspired by the grounding technique that's often utilized as a mental health and wellness technique for disorders such as anxiety or dissociation. I took wood grain patterns that I found, caught my eye, and rendered them sometimes to semi-abstraction, and often to fit my mood at the moment they're being created. My current practice is still exploring wood grain as well as other repetitive patterns in nature, and often feature human and animalistic elements. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anastasia Dimitrescu, and I usually cover the concepts of theology, history, and in philosophical concepts. So I basically like to explore Orthodox Christianity and how the traditions haven't changed since the Judea times in 1st century BCE. This piece right here is called the Julian calendar, where each day is intimately made and detail-oriented to each specific day of patron saints and how the Serbian Orthodox Christian community comes together to celebrate life, henceforth the symbolism of the egg. So I usually like to depict heavy symbolism in all my pieces to have a deeper historical meaning, or kind of take certain contemporary elements into like modern time art, but looking back into the history. So if you aren't able to see this before the end of May, you can check out juliancalendar.net, and you can personally find any specific dates, anniversaries, and yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Paula, but my moniker goes by PauTheRebel. If there's something I can describe about my practice, is that I like to make characters based off of my experiences of mental illness, trauma, sexuality, and gender through nostalgic means, through digital space, and through the internet. And really what I like about my works is that I like to improvise through everything that I make so far for the past over 3 years or so. And so here are my works that I have so far. So this one up here is called Neon Android and Demon. These are 2 characters that I've made over the past year, of the android and the demon. And what I wanted to make out of this one is just to create these characters, non-binary characters, in a very celestial space, to kind of make them emblematic in a cosmic format, kind of taking away the binariness in a more Renaissance type of art into this new space and kind of giving this new meaning onto it. And then I also added a tool to kind of help with this emblematic format onto here, and along with some stars that I've taken out of recycled vinyl from previous works or other collaborative projects, and I placed them onto here. This one is my most favorite work. This is a sculpture that I made in collaboration with a fellow friend, Talk. He's the one that created the musical component while I did the rest of the sculpture, including a video format onto it. The essence of this work is to have a coping mechanism in a way of a sense of through trauma, through stressors that happen in life. And when we were both collaborating with this piece, we wanted to make a piece that really reflected onto the essence of coping and through a means of acceptance and peace throughout all these times. So really, in essence, it's an immense to kind to accept and move forward through those means. And of course, relaxation is one of those forms of escapism. So that is the essence of what we made here so far.
Hello, my name is Ali Thomas, and I am one of the graduating students of the McMaster's BFA program this year in 2022. My present body of work draws inspiration from my lived experiences. I'm exploring my identity and my mental health journey. I aim to explore the effects that mental health have on the corporal world and in a visual manner, exploring the ways the two are connected and inform each other. This is my thesis piece, Growing Pains. It is made of a wooden cabinet, and inserted within it is a painting made with acrylic paint, building medium, vinyl pieces, and acrylic pieces, acrylic plastic. So this work represents an introspection into myself that is within my control. I can open and expose the fleshy and grotesque parts of myself to the world, or I can take a deep breath, close my eyes, and choose to close away this part of myself from the outside world. And I think this is a very important part of my practice going forward, because I spend a lot of my time exposing the parts of myself to the world, and I want to be able to choose when and how my story gets told and how my trauma gets relayed to the world visually.
Hello, I'm Sid Jason. I'm in fourth year at McMaster Studio Arts program. This is my piece for SUMMA, Salon. It's I wanted to bring an experience that happened, the haircut that happened, and bring it back into an interactive space so that the audience who wasn't there for that could still technically experience it in some sort of form. So with this piece, I wanted to explore themes of feminism and kind of just, I guess, gender to a certain extent. So here you have the end goal of the salon being a complete removal of hair, which is very closely tied to femininity. And so you start with this kind of performance of femininity, of this extreme kind of dress up and over exaggeration of it. And then slowly throughout the video, the hair gets cut shorter and shorter and shorter until it just, and then the makeup is removed at the end too, and it kind of cycles back to the beginning again.
Hi, my name is Hannah Robinson. Through my practice, I advocate for the pangolin, a lesser-known endangered species, and parallel ideas of need and consumption with the ideas of trafficking, exploitation, and the value of objects through the use of gold and patterned designs. The pangolin is a mammal of the order of Philodota that is recognized by their full armor of scales. There are 8 species of pangolins found in Asia and Africa, all ranging from vulnerable to critically endangered. Despite being protected under national and international laws, pangolins are the most trafficked mammals in the world. One of the biggest challenges facing the pangolin is that so few people know who they are, why they're in so much peril. Both of these pieces created for SUMMA help to explore new and creative ways to help raise awareness for the scale of a solitary animal.
Hi, I'm Hanan Abbas. I'm an Iraqi-Canadian artist, and I've been working in digital media, and my work is conceptually driven and aims to explore the ways in which digital and cultural identity collaborate. I research the colloquial nature of the digital and early web, and try to understand and question its modes of communication. More specifically, in this work, created in Blender and vinyl cutouts on acrylic sheets, I'm exploring the cyborg-esque liminal online chat language called Adabizi, or Arablish. It's a combination of English alphabets and numbers in lieu of Arabic phonetics, and it's developed by Middle Eastern youth in the early 2000s in response to tools being inaccessible, so keyboards not supporting Arabic and web script not supporting the Arabic script as well. And people still needed to stay connected online whether or not they were included in the picture. In this work, I'm trying to explore my gap between Arabic, as this form of Arabic is the most accessible to me, This work deals with intergenerational erasure because it's essentially transformed the original language while questioning the technological bias in early computing and nuances behind that. And thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm a fourth year undergrad for my BFA for McMaster University. I'm Rhys Jones, and today I want to go over my sort of practice. I am very fascinated in the works of the surreal and dystopic. And for my first to second year, I've always been focusing on the physical elements of my works. But I've transitioned over the pandemic to digital, and currently in this exhibition, I want to show you this work here called The Moving Fortress. It has went through multiple iterations, but I think this is the final product that I've made through the digital program known as Blender, and through my professors and my other experiences to sort of make this work. I've been able to know this process well, and through other variations of critiques. Known to try and make this work about multiples in my project, instead of my single sort of practice of the singularity in my works, in my previous. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Judy Major-Girardin, and I'm here on behalf of my colleagues. Brianna Palmer is one of them. Also Sally Mackay and Adrian Crossman, who taught our level 4 students in the first term. And also on behalf of all of the SOTA faculty, staff, and instructional assistants, we're here to congratulate our graduating class and share in their final exhibition. I'd also like to thank the McMaster Museum of Art curators, staff, and behind-the-scenes people who have helped to put together this show and have provided a very valuable experience for our students to learn about the professional aspects of mounting a group exhibition. It's been a really wonderful opportunity, a really great culminating activity for our students as they make their way out into the community. So thanks to all those museum support people. We have some exciting awards to announce today. Also, we've had a guest curator, Sarah Sudi, who was our guest curator from the community. And one of the awards is the Curator Award. And so this year, Sarah Sudi has selected Hanan Abbas as the Curator Award. Congratulations. There is also a faculty award, and this year the faculty have selected Serena Walk as the faculty. These are very tough decisions to make, as you can imagine. There are many people deserving of awards. I think we selected Serena this year because she was creating work right to the end of term and pushing her practice right till the kind of final hour. So that was one of the distinguishing features for us. The final award is the People's Choice Award, and people have been invited since the opening to come in and vote at the gallery for their choice. This was also a very close competition. There were many people we thought we were going to have a tie as of yesterday. There were many people who rose to the top and had a lot of votes from the community, but it has settled, and the final vote is going to PauTheRebel. Thank you very much.